this computer.
Yep, you're recording now.
And we are now recording. So, all right. Welcome everybody to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. We are tonight, August 6th, for the first time in our history, not going live because of the loss, for me, devastating loss of Google Hangouts. Not that it was such an amazing program, but it was so easy to operate. It was free, and it allowed us to gather up to 10 people in a live stream and recording session. So hopefully we will find a replacement to that system. While YouTube was busy killing off Google Hangouts on air, they do not provide the same functionality in their live streaming service. You can only have one person in the YouTube live stream. So that doesn't work for us. So we're looking at other systems, and hopefully we'll get back to live streaming at some point. In any event, we are recording for now, and either late this evening or certainly by tomorrow morning, the raw video will be posted on our YouTube account as well as on our Facebook page for anyone to share. My name is Michelle Odom. I'm located in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm not hosting tonight. Nicole Jackson-Wilson is hosting tonight, and she's running a little bit late, so I am just here to get us started. And I turn it over to you, Leonie.
Hello, everybody. I'm joining you from Vancouver, British Columbia. Glad to see you all.
Welcome. And Georgette.
Hello, I'm Georgette Moses, and I'm joining you guys from Columbia, South Carolina. Glad to be here.
Glad you are here. And Kim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Brandon, and I'm in New York City. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that you got us to this new Zoom spot, even if it's temporary.
Yes. Our thanks to Leonie Smith.
Thanks, Leonie.
Thanks, Leonie. So I, of course, am scheduled to facilitate next week. So I'm excited about that. I haven't done one yet for this book, and I feel like I have a lot I want to say. So that is next week. And of course, tonight we are all mourning the loss of Toni Morrison. That has really hit me as a devastating blow earlier today. And I felt and said on one of my friends' page, Kim, something that I saw you say later today, that I just don't remember. There was never a time, actually, where Toni Morrison was not a felt presence in my life. And, you know, it's just hard to even think about her not being here anymore. But her works are here. And we're going to lean on that.
Yes.
So did anybody else want to say anything about Toni Morrison?
I can't believe she was 88 years old. She looked fabulous. Talk about aging gracefully. Okay. She had it going on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Welcome, Venita.
Welcome, Venita.
Hey, Venita.
We are so glad that your internet is back up, and you.
I mean, you know, really, I was so on time today.
Yeah.
What you talking about? You're always on time, even when you're on time.
Yeah, but I was so extra, Georgette. I was extra today, getting ready. Michelle knows I was just so extra since yesterday.
Well, tell us who you're here. Tell us who you are. Introduce yourself.
My name is Venita Walker, and I'm calling from Cromwell, Connecticut.
All right, welcome. And Venita, so we were just, we've done our introductions and are just talking a little bit for a minute or two about Toni Morrison. So did anybody else want to share something on Toni Morrison?
But it's funny and kind of amazing that she had a book out this year. And then there's 2 documentaries about her that have just come out. So it feels like she was saying goodbye in some kind of way. I don't know. That's the way it feels to me, especially the Pieces one. Yeah, and I met Toni Morrison twice as a fan, as a groupie, and so I don't know. I met her recently at Medgar Evers. So the people you meet at Medgar Evers is so wonderful. That's pretty much what I have to say. But I just don't remember a time when The Bluest Eye or something about Toni wasn't a part of what I was reading.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, just that it hit me hard as well this morning. Well, you know, today's also the death anniversary from my mom.
Oh.
So even though Toni Morrison died yesterday, I found out today. It was just like, yeah, it was like, wow. And even though like normally it's unusual for me to have any kind of reaction, you know.
Yeah.
Old people die, like this is a thing that happens.
Right.
But I think that the 2 together kind of like, in some way, my body and spirit like joined them.
Yeah. This
that changed. Sorry, say it again.
This felt different to me.
Yeah. Just one more thing though. The other thing that came up for me though is that I said like, you know, it also makes me want to write.
Good.
You should write. You should write, Leonie.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Both of my parents passed in August, and I just always try to keep my head low, Venita, and get through the transaction when August rolls around. It is just a scary month to me.
My grandmother died in August too.
Oh yeah.
And I was in North Carolina, and that was a scary few days for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died in August 7th. What day are we on?
6 today.
6
is the 6th.
August takes out a lot of people. It's hot, you know.
Yeah, she was 80-something too, and tired.
Yeah.
She was okay. 88 years old. Yeah, she had a good run, Toni. Very good run.
Yeah,
we're lucky to have it for that amount of time. That's the way I look at things.
Yeah.
88 years old, that is something else in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we didn't have other things going on, she might have been here in 95. Too much stress.
Yeah.
But
okay. Let's go ahead and get into
I didn't get the questions.
They're on the session 12 group page and also on the public page.
Oh, they are. Okay, because I looked a little while ago. I didn't see them. Okay, let's see.
Kim, can you go ahead and read Miss Celie's Blues, please?
Sister, you've been on my mind, oh sister. We're 2 of a kind, so sister, I'm keeping my eyes on you. I bet you think I don't know nothing but singing the blues, oh sister. Have I got news for you? I'm something. I hope you think that you're something too. Struggling, I've been up that lonesome road, and I've seen a lot of suns going down. Oh, but trust me, no low life's gonna run me around. So let me tell you something, sister. Remember your name, no twister. It's gonna steal your stuff away, my sister. We sure ain't got a whole lot of time. So won't you shake your shimmy, sister? 'Cause honey the shug is feeling fine.
All right. Go, Kim. Go, Kim.
That's
Dang.
I was trying to make it fast for you, but that's my song.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Kim, I didn't know you had it in you. I'm sitting here with my pencil dress on, with my cigarette in my holder. I had on my T-straps, girl. Yeah. And my pillbox hat. And I was wait for a minute, Kim. I like that.
Oh, thank you, Venita.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I will go ahead and read the summary since we still don't have Nicole with us. Let me see.
I am not going to be able to.
Huh?
I'm not going to be able to read the questions tonight because I'm on my iPad.
Okay.
And I don't have Facebook on my phone intentionally. And normally I use my laptop, but I'm not. So I got to find a way to split the screen.
Oh, don't worry about it. We can do the reading.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see here. I'm just playing along. Okay. And the plot thickens. Night. Let me get my Zoom right. And the plot thickens. I want to attend to this lofty thing called sisterhood and its larger connection to freedom, Black freedom struggles. What does it mean? How are we defining it in this reading circle, in this generation? And how might we attend to its intergenerational context? Further, how does James's exploration of Lilith's interiority both disrupt and validate what it means to be and have a sister? What it means to be in relationship with other Black women? Given what we understand about those complex ways enslavement in the Americas has shifted and disintegrated fixed notions of the/a Black family, what do we make of kinship, fictive, ancestral, biological, and otherwise? To be more precise, tonight, let's move from the margin to center by exploring James's complex protagonist, Lilith and Homer, and their multi-layered definitions, operational, formal, and exemplification of sisterhood, as chapters 6 to 8 take up an essential question posed last week. What makes the Niggerkin / Black women's survival possible? What alliances must they forge or break? In what ways must they connect, disconnect, and reconnect? So y'all don't ask me what that means, because y'all know that's Nicole and her stuff now.
That was deep. I'm with it. I'm with it.
Okay.
Well, we gonna have to try to muddle through. So she said we can jump in anywhere with the questions, that there's no particular order. So does somebody want to choose the first question, and we'll go from there?
I'd like to choose the first question.
Okay.
Let's begin by contemplating sisterly relations in the text. What's significant about Homer and Lilith's relationship? How does this compare to Lilith and Circe's relationship? And I guess for me, I just love Homer. I absolutely love Homer. And so the fact that she has taken this girl under her wing when Circe treated her so badly, and she was supposed to parent her and didn't have it to give. So as Homer is teaching her to read and when to mine and how to survive, I'm so impressed with Homer, and the fact that here this kid is sleeping in the basement and she's trying to make her safe by keeping her in the dark. I just find that to be something that for me as a mother, that there are times where you want to tell your kid, don't step out there all wild and free like that. Keep your back covered, and that's one of the things I try to say to my daughter, is just make wise decisions as a Black woman. So when it comes to sisterhood, I don't know. I think my generation, the sisterhood was stronger than my daughter's generation. Like I have sisters, friends who, if they say come, I'm coming. If they say they need something, or if I need something, I know they're going to be there. And it's not competitive. It's just not. I mean, I do have friends who compete with me, but I don't need to compete with them. And I'm not talking about those sisters. I'm just talking about the fact that there was these people who were like your play cousins. And I don't see that as much in this generation because of all the technology and the ways that people don't engage. We were so bored until we had nothing to do but entertain each other and ourselves. So if I'm going back to the summary, I love the idea of exploring sisterhood in all of these different facets that Nicole mentions. But I don't think, I don't know if we know all of Circe's story, but I just find that each character in this book could have their own book. They're so well written. And so I would love to kind of understand some of these different characters, but to just go back to the question in terms of sisterly relationships, I don't think there was any sisterly relationship with Circe, and I'll stop there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Question 1. Well, one thing, one thing is that Lilith and Homer are are actually blood sisters. And there was not blood between Lilith and Circe. But despite that, I don't think that is the reason. Well, Lilith is having a hard time accepting that, that's even true. That Jack Wilkins is the father of all of the NightWomen. But I don't think that that blood relation is the reason that Homer is being protective of and nurturing of Lilith. I think that Homer just sees something in Lilith, sees a spiritual connection to Lilith, and all of Lilith's spiritedness, I think she identifies with. And you can have people that you share blood with, and that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. That's it. And people who come into your life as complete strangers that feel like real family. And so, I think that's the feeling that Homer has for Lilith, but at this point in the story, it's not a mutual relationship. It's a one-sided love, and so Homer is taking the role of always trying to build Lilith up, and Lilith is taking the role of trying to tell Homer she's a nigger. So it's kind of like that line, in the song, I hope you think you're something too. Homer's trying to convince Lilith that she is something, but Lilith is taking shots at Homer. Nicole, you miss Kim singing Miss Celie's Blues. We can't hear you.
You don't have audio connected. Go to the microphone icon at the bottom left and the arrow just to the right of that, and make sure that you select a microphone. There's none selected. Do you see the microphone icon at the bottom left?
When you joined, did it ask you to join with your mic?
Yeah, audio.
With your audio? Yeah.
Do you see an option to share your screen in the middle of those icons? Okay.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh my gosh. It's been a crazy day, y'all. For bearing with me.
All around. So Nicole, Kim sang Miss Celie's Blues.
Thank you.
It was beautiful. You have to go back and watch the recording for that.
Yes.
And I read the summary, and we were just kind of getting into question 1.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you introduce yourself, and I will turn. Are you ready? You need a minute to.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, I will turn the facilitation over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Jackson Wilson. I am joining from Houston, Texas. And I had ortho appointments with a girl, so crazy day. So thank you all. So first, let me apologize. I wanted to do a better ordering of the questions, and I've just had like a killer headache. I think agreed, Toni Morrison. You all know that's my birthday twin. And so it's like down to, well, she was, because my maternal grandmother and Toni Morrison and Audre Lorde. And so I guess I've got to represent in this literary world. But anyway, I'm so sad to just know that this woman whom I love so much and who's done so much for us is gone. So I'm just having a moment. But glad to see you all tonight. And all right. Did you all discuss number one?
Just started. I think Michelle was the first person to speak.
Oh, okay, good. So you did read number one.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Kim
also responded to it.
Oh, yeah. That's
okay.
Right. Sorry, Kim. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks so much, y'all.
And I love the summary.
I didn't hear you, Kim.
I love the summary.
Oh, thank you. It was convoluted today, but thank you, Kim. Thank you. Hi, Venita. Hi, everybody. Okay. Well, did we have anyone else who wanted to respond to number one, or would you like to move to another one? No? Okay. Okay, well, we could move forward to number two, and why don't I just just ask someone to read, and you can choose one. But I don't think this is like sequentially ordered. It wasn't ordered too well, and that was bothering me. But I spent so much time trying to order, I was like, forget it. But so if Michelle, if you read number one, Kim, do you mind?
I read one, but I can read two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Kim, you read one.
And I can read two.
Okay, if you don't mind. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Kim.
Let's go back to move forward. Please analyze the following quotes and explain their importance. Contextual full circles, enslaved Black women and life circles, survival, Black freedom struggles, and so forth. Lilith hating the darkness because it not dark no more, and she watched woman turn into nigger, then animal, then nothing, crow food.
So to kind of contextualize that.
Yes, thank you.
So Lilith hating the darkness because it's not dark no more. I think that was at the beginning. Yeah, those are the opening lines. The first lines of chapter 6. And then there's this moment where Lilith witnesses the murder of the Black woman who is, performing oral sex. I mean, it's forced, it seems, on a white male. She must have been, I interpreted it as she was, running away and moving toward her freedom, and was victimized in that way and was still killed. And it was the way in which James describes how he forced her to perform, the oral sex. And Lilith witnesses that, and I had this moment where I had to remember she's like a young, teenage girl, which goes back to what we discussed last week, that split between Black girlhood and Black womanhood. There is no split, as Robin Boyd Lauren argues, so we should not put the space there. So I was just wondering, what did you all think of those quotes? And yeah, did it add anything? I tried to just provide like something some ways you could, some lenses, I guess.
Yeah, I thought both of those were very striking passages. That whole scene with the runaway girl was very unsettling. But I think for Lilith hating the darkness because it's not dark no more. Already at this tender age of 14 or 15, she's seen so much that she is becoming desensitized to the violence, to the oppression, to the powerlessness. You know, it's not shocking to her anymore. And her mind was just doing what our minds do, finding a way to disconnect, to not have to feel anything for what she was witnessing. She was witnessing, you know, a Black woman, a Black girl, having to suck the cock of a drunken white man who then clobbers her over the head when he's done and shoots her. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. And so Lilith starts saying, you know, starts looking at the victim, starts blaming the victim, you know, starts separating herself from the victim. Because if you can't save that victim, if you can't do anything else about it, then you have to go someplace in your mind just to be able to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. Absolutely. Wow. Very profound. Y'all bringing it today. Wow. Anyone else? Wow.
Can I just say, go ahead with your bad self, Michelle?
Anytime, my sister.
Okay. Well, no one else? We can.
Add just a tiny bit on there because Michelle just covered it. She covered it. So when the phrasing of these two sentences. The first one, Lilith hating the darkness because it's not dark anymore, dark no more. That's PTSD. Everything that she described after that sentence was her mind and her limited knowledge and emotional immaturity trying to deal with what had happened and what was happening at the present time, trying to make sense of it. And then in the field, when she watched the woman turn into a nigger and then an animal and then nothing, the disassociation from it, you know, the distancing herself from any emotion that could result in some increased harm to herself, you know, a survival tactic. That's so cold that she would have to do that because that's the only way she could deal with watching that violence. She's 2 seconds away from it, right? It's right there happening. She can't help the woman if she knew or if she cared about her. So she has to not care about her. Just as that overseer who abused the woman and murdered her cared nothing about her. So she could move on and keep doing whatever it was she had to do. as her position of a slave. And then when Homer comes in right after that and says, after she's shooting her, right, she's using her finger saying pow, 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 Homer says, is that, what she said, is that nigger you shooting or whitey? That is so, wow, boom, Homer is right in her psyche all the time, isn't she? And I don't, and as a 14-year-old going on 15, here she is, how is she going to respond to this woman, looking at her, seeing through everything, because she knows who she is. She knows where she's been. She knows how she's thinking. Isn't that what mothers do, right? They look at you and just know what you're thinking about whatever that situation was. Right? Don't they do that to you? And then they say some stuff to you like, how she know? And wow, that was just so powerful, and just a really strong example of how, dysfunctional you have to be to survive in this kind of environment. And wow, going back, I think there was something, I can't remember now, but it was something about Lilith and how I think it was something Michelle said earlier, and it was about how Lilith saw herself, and that she seems to me out of place. How she processes the events is out of place for who she is. You're a slave in this time span, in this place where they are killing people because it's easier to kill you and buy a new one, than, suffer, hurt you a little bit and let you continue on. She just seems, she's not that naive, because you see her thought processes about a lot of things, but she seems to me like she's sort of out of place. And perhaps maybe it's that dysfunction and being cloistered in that environment with Celie and Tantalus, and not being in the real environment of slavery when she was growing up. Now she's having to play catch up. So yeah, this is mind blowing. This is really, really deep. So that's all my little bit I want to add.
Yeah, well, Georgette, on that last point, I think Lilith is crazy as a bedbug. And I am telling Venita, just really overwhelmed by the amount of insanity built into this story, from beginning to end. But we got Massa Patrick, crazy as a bedbug, the mistress, crazy as a bedbug, that mad nigger Tantalus. It's just everywhere. And I think in her own way, Lilith is too. And that's why she's processing the way she's processing, because she ain't quite.
Wow.
But how could you be? How could anybody be sane in this environment? Like in I think it's chapter 8 where they get into the strategic difference between Robert Quinn and Massa Humphrey, where Humphrey feels like Quinn has become soft on Negroes, and Quinn feels like, well, you can't even look at the whippings you have ordered. Everybody's crazy. But how could you not be right up to the present day?
Excellent point.
Yeah, that's so true. One of the things that James is doing in this book is reminding me of the material effects of what happens when, a population, a demographic, a people survive that which they were never intended to have to endure, should not have to endure, and are surviving it. And so it is just so intriguing for me that that is also embedded in this text. You know, what are those material effects of that? Very interesting. I will I'm gonna skip over 3 because really 3, that I just really love that quote. I actually had 3 quotes there. 3 was a part of 2, and I wrote that because I just love that. But I'm not gonna go there because to me, 3 embodies, like when I first read Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, it really embodied, and I do understand the kind of literary inspiration here. So I can't even do 3 today because my beloved is gone. I don't even want it. So let's skip 3 and try to move to 4, where I was thinking through like sight, foresight, and as always, double sight. And so I'll read that one, and then let's just see who would like to jump in. I was saying that I'm intrigued that James's plot development stretches how the reader processes incomplete freedom struggles, and even, the ways in which we think through gendered Blackness. This is done masterfully by focusing on sight. How does Homer's double sight aid her ability to lead and also document the land? What do you make of those ways she consistently conveys to Lilith that she ain't new to this, she true to this? In hip hop parlance, what skill set is Lilith missing to be able to intuit and move, albeit despite the restrictions and constraints that captivity demands? But what is she missing to be able to move like Homer? Because there are so many moments in these chapters that it's like Homer is saying, like, girl, you little girl. It's almost like a little girl. You're not there yet. You don't want these problems, little girl, So like you're just not there yet. And I was thinking about that. What did you all think about her sight, insight, foresight, double sight? And even just how Homer is documenting the land, and I think that's a precise strategy when we talk about freedom, Black freedom struggles, to be able to document the land. There are so many moments where Lilith is saying, like, where did Homer come from, and how did she get there? Right? She knows the land, like she's documenting the land. Light, darkness, she can traverse that landscape. So I was just wondering, what you think. And for me personally, I could just say I'm intrigued, obviously, by this characterization. I'm waiting to see what happens, because Homer is such a complex character, but she really does, for me right now, embodies like just really what it takes to survive the end of the world, as we said, and like J.T. Rohn says, for Black women and girls, the world ends, every day. So, but all right, Venita or Leonie, would you all like to respond to any of that, or if not, we can move to another one.
I could respond to the last part of that question about the skill set that Lilith's missing. Is that she still is intrigued by the narrative that the white folks tell. Like, I think about how referential she is to the stories that Tantalus used to read to her. And in some sense, it's not like innocence, but it's like there's like a naivete that's there that Homer does not have. Homer's completely absent of anything that one could confuse as naivete. And Lilith is still there's enough of that narrative that's present in her that it warps what she sees, even when she sees things clearly. That's it.
Thank you, Leonie. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. Wow. Wow. Venita, would you like to weigh in, Venita?
Homer is is actually my favorite character thus far. Homer reminds me of my godmother. She's trying to give Lilith that ability to navigate herself through the world, and hopefully at one point not on the plantation. And she's just so courageous because, my godmother grew up in the southern states, North Carolina, I should say. She had a 3rd grade education. She was almost 6 feet tall, very fair skinned, hazel eyes and red hair. That tells you something. And Homer reminds me of her so much. Lilith, again, she's only 14 years old. And she's been a little sheltered. And I know that word is probably used pretty loosely to be on the plantation, but she's been pretty sheltered. Obviously, Homer has not. Homer been there, did that, seen a lot of stuff. And I'm not sure if Lilith is as naive as one thinks she is. Again, I think she's a little bit touched more than naive. But that's just my perception. So, but the plantation, the landscape, navigate herself to the plantation as Homer does. That's the only way you could survive. You couldn't read, so you didn't know what someone was writing. Sometimes they can talk, so sometimes you don't even understand. So it's just very important to be able to understand as much as you could about that immediate space that you were in and the surroundings around you, which is why she was able to save Lilith. If she wasn't able to navigate her way through observation, through, unlike Lilith, listening, because Lilith's a handful. You want to slap her down like 20 times. Homer got a lot of patience. A lot of patience with Lilith. So, I just think she's an interesting character. I really do. I think Homer's very interesting. And I think Lilith is splitting.
Wow.
I see her, I see her splitting a lot. And I kind of can parallel that with today's youth. There's a lot of Liliths.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you, Venita. Wow, the splitting. And she's a split subject too. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, she's splitting.
Wow.
There's children like Lilith that are watching a woman today, be it their mother, their sister, their aunt, or a woman that's a stranger, that's a woman turned into a nigger, then an animal, then nothing, and crow food.
Oof. Woo! That was a word for me to preach.
That's what grabbed me when I read that. It's like nothing has changed if nothing changed. And there's Lilith today.
And I guess, Venita, that you say that, the interesting thing is for Lilith to witness that the reality is ever more present with her, that, because I do understand that motivation to escape that life. And so she feels much like the fairy tale insert of that book that Tantalus shared with her, which is of no fault of his, because this is a critique of the publishing industry. Not much has changed. When you disappear and absent these kind of robust Black characters, brown figures from text, this is what you get. You got this lopsided kind of stoking of a white desire. In the power, she understood the power structure anyway, regardless, as Alice Walker says. But So, but I think when she witnesses that murder and she watched that cycle happen so quickly, right? From a woman to a nigger, and whoa, I think that kind of quickened, if you will, her step. She's like, I gotta get out of this, and I'm beautiful enough. She felt to do so, which which is something that we would really discuss with the next question, which is a notion of beauty in these contexts, the mulatto and so forth. Wow. Okay, let's see here. Leonie, do you mind reading number 5?
Not at all. As we further consider relationships between and among Homer and Lilith and other women in the text, I would like us to specifically focus on Lilith's sisters that she meets in the cave, those minor figures, Sadia Hartman, and how their presence bears upon the text. How do those relationships impact or collapse personal and or public accepted definitions of sisterhood? How might you rank them as parts of a whole, parts to a whole? How might you classify their personality traits? What are the mirrors?
Okay, let me be honest, you all. These chapters were so phenomenal, right? Like Leonie, like this book, where had it been all my life? I needed this. So I realized after I read that I wanted to read, give a closer reading of what Sadia Hartman calls the minor figures. They're still so very important. She talks about, the imperative of us looking at Black women who are not so-called exceptional. I mean, but the reality is paradoxical because we are exceptional. I mean, by the sheer nature of us surviving, again, what we were not meant to survive, that's an exceptionalism in and of itself. And it's not to be elitist, but it's to say that there is something exceptional, and even about the experience of being a Black woman, which is why so many activists say that if the world becomes better for Black women, then everybody else, right, will have, a better life. So, I wanted to really think about the minor figures here, and specifically those. If Lilith accepts that she's the seventh sister, right? But so far she's practicing this refusal. But I was wondering, did you all see mirrors? Did you read closely enough? And I'll admit, I'm still working through that. Did you see mirrors? What did you think about the sisters? And so on and so forth. So if anybody would like to jump in there.
Well, one of the things is a couple of the sisters, I don't remember which ones, have the green eyes, right? And, so I wondered about, Lilith was feared and unwanted from the moment of her birth. And so it made me wonder about, did the other sisters with green eyes also have that kind of experience? And one of the things that Lilith noticed with all of the sisters was that they had straight backs and held their heads high, and it made her want to straighten up. So.
Thank you, Michelle. Did anyone have a special, I know And to be fair, I understand that they're operating as not just, you know, the theory of the minor figure, but minor characters at this point in the text, because I don't know what's going to happen. I know Leonie and Michelle know, but does any one of those figures stand out to you? Who could we center if we wanted to talk about, you know, one or two of them? Anybody felt drawn to one of the characters or an aversion to one of those characters? Any thoughts there?
What was the tall one's name? Was that Payless?
I think so. The one that held the gun on Lilith.
Yeah. Something about her I found intriguing. I don't know why.
I like that, Venita.
No, you know, there's so many characters, you know, and I thought each one was very special in their own way. But there's something about her that I was very attracted to. She was tall, she was very dark. I have this fixation with dark people, like real black, like the Siganese. I think they're the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen black, that black, they're so black and look like it's not real. It's just like they're levitating with blackness. I just think they're just beautiful. And I don't know why, when she described her, I was just so attracted to her. And she was just tall. You know, she reminded me of Grace Jones, which is another one of my favorite people. You know, that I just something about her. And she had the patch on her eye. And she was mysterious, you know, and no one really looked her in the eye, if you notice. Okay?
Yeah, that's right, Venita.
They did not look her in the face. Now, she, you know, it wasn't like she talked a lot, per se, but it was just, she was just mysterious to me. And I was wondering, and also what happened to her eye? Why does she have a patch on her eye? Was she the slave that dared to have courage, that might have looked at that white man and said, "You're not gonna rape me," and lost an eye in the process? You know, those kind of things run through my mind. I just think, I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but I was very attracted to her. She just stood out as being a real courageous, but still mysterious. But she didn't play with you either, like Homer.
Yeah, I was about to say, she was no nonsense girl with that pistol.
Yeah, she didn't play. I don't know why I'm attracted to characters. I don't know why I'm attracted to characters like that. I mean, you know, she's like, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's like Homer. Homer has this thing about her, especially when she was running to the field and Lilith was trying to keep up with her. And she said, I swear, it's like she was levitating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, something about those characters. They just seem like super real, bona fide, super black women. They have this mystical thing about them, you know.
Even in, and I think that's the brilliance of James's writing, is because even in their ordinariness, right?
Yes.
It still seems so powerful. I mean, even in captivity, even in, there's still this way that they're seizing power and cease to stop fighting for. What can I say? James is, woo.
I love his writing, by the way.
Yeah.
His writing is so colorful and has so much movement, and it's so enjoyable. I really love his writing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I really do. Great animated.
He is wonderful.
Yeah, when Lilith threatened to expose the cave and the plot, and I just felt like the action of the sisters was very real to me.
Yes.
And Lilith was really, even Lilith felt that reaction.
Lilith backed right on down. She's like, well, wrong thing.
And she had taken her life into her own hands because had killed before. They would not in the habit of having somebody mess them up. And it just also like made me think about kind of life today, ghetto life with the drug culture and see no evil, speak no evil. Nobody wants to say anything no matter what's going on because you take your life in your own hands.
Yeah.
Right. Did it make you all think through too, gun ownership and Black women, throughout the diaspora, are we going to have a call to arms? What protectionism, because I'm still so intrigued when Fannie Lou Hamer describes how her mother had that gun, I believe that pistol, right, in that bucket that she did. Like she was for real about, I'm going to protect mine. And so it was, and so many, when we talk about race women who were, just like, I think they got to that point where they started to feel as if I need to be protecting myself and protect it. So, just the power of that gun, the symbolism of it, and even for her to let Lilith know, like, you could be a gunner. And it was humbling. Like, Lilith got her little she got it together for a minute or two after that.
Yes.
She's reckless though. That child's real reckless though. She had more heart to say that from those women like, and then what? Oh no, I couldn't even dream of being doing anything like that. She was very reckless. She'll be glad that Homer was there. But if Homer wasn't there,
They'd have been one sister short.
Yeah, that's short. Thank you. It's like, girl. But Black women have always armed themselves. Even Harriet Tubman had to have a machete to keep those Negroes in line in case somebody wanted to go back and tell the master.
Right.
On that night. Because it's always one. It's always one in every crowd. 2019 is one. Okay? So Black women have always had to arm themselves to send a clear message to those that wanted to stray that they wasn't having it. They had a mission, and this is what we're going to do. And if I got to take you out, so be it. But they had their mission, and they succeeded because they made it clear.
Yeah.
So Lil was crazy as hell. She was as crazy as hell. I don't even stop reading. I said, girl.
That is so true.
Poor Lilith. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's just a baby.
Oh God! So many times I just hold my breath, like, Lilith, please, girl, stop it.
I know, right? So did anybody look at the names of these sisters?
Yes.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I looked up the names, actually.
And so they're all Greek.
Yes.
And so Gorgon, which when I first heard that name, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a monster, isn't it? But it's actually 3 sisters whose heads whose hair is made out of snakes, right? And then Pallas is another name for Athena or an asteroid. Mm-hmm. And Iphigenia is the daughter of Agamemnon. Callisto is the nymph that Zeus changed into a bear. Mm-hmm. And Hippolyta is an Amazon queen. So these women already named for business, okay?
Yes,
you watch out. They're going to take this whole...
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they had powerful names, all of them. They really did. Very powerful names. But then again, some of their daddies, a few of their daddies had this thing for Greek mythology.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But and there are other characters besides the NightWomen in this book that also have Greek names. Mm-hmm. Because I think it was Robert Quinn that made a reference to, I just thought you know, somebody on this plantation just had a thing.
Yeah.
Greek tragedy. So a lot of the names. Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, Gio. You took care of 7.
Oh, okay.
No, that was good. Yes, that was good. Thank you. No. Well, why don't we move to the final question then? And going back and honoring that wonderful work that Kim did to start us off, to set the tone. And I don't know who hasn't read. I don't see Leonie. She read. Gio, do you mind reading number 8? And then we can close out with that one.
Okay, sure. Final question. We began this session with Kim's robust discussion questions in which Kim referenced the spirit of Lilith and ways we embody that spirit. What of the spirit of Homer or Andromeda or any of the minor figures or sisters? Which spirit is dominant presently in your life? What does it reveal about your personal, public, professional freedom projects or your definition of sisterhood?
Okay, I realized that was more than one question. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I gotta work on that.
That's you. That's what you do. It's all right.
Come on now, break it down in layman's terms for us, Nicole.
I know. I just loved how Kim, first session, Kim just brought it. She was like, yeah, and Kim said there's that Lilith spirit, and that spirit is, we're sometimes abiding with or tarrying, if you will, as old seasoned saints used to say, in that spirit. So I was just thinking about, as we have met these other women, where are you? What kind of spirit? And I just love, of course, you all know, I love Alice Walker's definition of womanism and how she talks about the womanist, attends to the spirit. And so I just wanted to see where you all stand. What spirit are you operating in, right? Right, Kim, you talked about that spirit of living.
Yes, indeed. I just think when Lilith was born and everybody said, "Ooh, she has that spirit," like they all knew, So for me today, this is this kind of personal here. Yeah, I think that I aspire to have the Homer spirit. I think fear and New York City police officers keep me from being complete Homer-ish. I want to come home at night.
New York police, Kim, please.
I want to come home at night. I think there's some vigilante police stuff going on that's very concerning to me. But so there's this balance that you have to have in terms of staying safe and being that warrior. And I always look at, well, where's the safety? Like this week, or was it last week? Yeah, last week we were at Supreme Court trying to save this garden, and I said, you need to do more of this. Let's out there yelling and screaming at people shooting. So I that's not the Homer spirit, and I would prefer to have more of that, the Homer spirit. And then for me to take more risks, to use my gifts in ways that give me a bigger voice and a bigger platform without fearing what anybody's going to say or think about it. So I'm working on my Homer spirit.
All right, Kim. Yes.
So when you start seeing my back all whipped and stuff, I paid the price. And the one thing I do want to say is that Homer could take a punch. That's one thing. Take a punch.
Yes.
I mean, somebody's always slapping Homer.
Yes.
And she braces herself for it because she says, "Oh, this is gonna cost me a slap. This is gonna cost me a punch." But they don't know. And like she said to the girl, what did she say? If we won't they kill us if we learn to read? And she says, if we spoil the food, they're gonna kill us. So
Yeah. That's right. So what you got to lose?
What you got to lose? Thank you.
Absolutely.
I love Homer. Homer is smooth. That's where I'm at. I'm right there with Homer. Homer has only a few words to say. I only got a few words to say because I'm too tired to say anything else. Homer say, you follow me, you don't, Lilith. And Homer does that with everyone. She's smooth, she move about. If you want to come along, okay, fine. You'll catch up or you won't. That's Homer's attitude. And they usually catch up because they need Homer, because she's a thinker. Homer's not trying to bring no point on home. Michelle and I had a discussion about the other day. Once you bring that point on home, then what? Homer's not trying to do that. Her bringing the point on home days are over. You're either gonna move with her when she moves, because she know where she going, because she know where she been. And she just has very little to say. It's that maturity and that experience and everything that she dealt with. It just keeps her real chill, like. Because she look at Lilith know about that look. Because a lot of times in that text, Homer turn around and give her that smooth ass look and look like, all right. And that is where I'm at right now. I use that telepathy. I'm not arguing any points. I'm not going through no changes with you. I'm just doing the Homer.
Right.
And keep on moving. But she's sending that message loud and clear to the people in the damn kitchen, to the master, to anybody else. She just giving that look like that. And if she got to play the game, she play it. But not often.
Yeah, like when Lilith said she was going to go ask Jack if he was her real daddy.
Yeah.
And Homer's like, all right.
All right. Go on, girl. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at. I love Homer. Homer is like, she don't put no friction in front of you. If that's what you need to make yourself feel good, girl, go ahead. I'll be in the kitchen when you get back. Then I ain't trying to do no bullshit today. Homer said, I love Homer. I'm a Homer. Yeah. Homer is chilled.
No, that makes sense. I think I am, I try not to get in the spirit of a drama because sometimes I can just rumble, but I think about Lilith. I do think I'm still, in the sense of Lilith having to understand her power, and again, like Michelle was saying, or Leonie, that narrative that she has, she's mine too. So I'm doing this work. It's a different kind of work now that I'm doing, as a, in my profession, in my personal life. I've been challenged. I was reading something by Ntozake Shange's daughter, Savannah, and I've been trying to get ethically aligned with this because it's real, it's for me. And how she was saying, like, no lifting, no climbing, no saving. So, you don't have to be out here doing the work like you're a martyr or you gotta save or check. I'm constantly doing the self-work, checking myself now in terms of what my activism is about, because I've always used the mantra, lift as we climb. And so Savannah Shange is like, no, ain't no climbing. Because if you're climbing, who you trying to get distance from? So anyway, so I'm working through that. Where's the distance? Where you going? Because again, there's a way that, especially in these times, we're still being taught that we really are niggerkin. I don't care where you are, you know, in the diaspora. Blackness is as a condition. We're suffering. So I'm working through that, where I'm disrupting that, but certainly that spirit of Homer, you know, the teaching, the feeling. I love that about Homer, that she's, you know, and then Homer is wise enough to be like, okay, girl, go ahead and bump your head, like Venita was saying. Go on and do that. So definitely.
But she still got her back, though. That's what I like about
Yes.
Homer. And that's why, you know, I love Homer. You know,
Yes.
Homer's not telling, when she told her to go ahead, she knows that she, okay, all right, she's giving her the option. But Homer got her back regardless of what she does. And that's what I love about Homer. Lilith don't know that yet because she don't know her bullshit. But Homer got her back, okay? But Homer wants her to learn. You learn through experiences. No one can teach you everything. You have to experience it. And Homer is so loving that she allows her, you know, to be able to go and learn on her own if she so chooses to. But Homer knows she ain't got that kind of heart. That's why Homer say, go ahead, girl, if you want to go ass. Get your ass down if you're not. You know what I'm saying?
And then she tells her, you know, pretty much, I told you so.
Yes.
Like the Bufu Bufu Bakra.
Yes.
Is it Bakra is running through the field or whatever.
Yes.
And at the end, you know, Homer was telling her, well, maybe next time.
Next time.
You might want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to warn you. You know. But I'm feeling Lilith's spirit, you know. I do think she's crazy as all get up. But you know, but I relate to the experience, and I think a lot of Black people these days do, of you know, growing up in an environment that was a little bit different from the masses, having a close relationship. You know, I love the father-daughter dynamic going on between Tantalus and Lilith. And, you know, I wish one day we could talk about, was Tantalus really as crazy as they made him out to be, you know, or was he just another victim too of slavery? But he obviously had visions he shouldn't have, you know, lusting after white women and that kind of thing. But something else I think was going on with Tantalus that transferred to Lilith, that gave her this vision for her life that is totally unrealistic in the context. But at the same time, if you don't begin to have a vision for your life, then how do you ever begin to strive and struggle toward, you know, making those kinds of changes we all say we want to see? So, you know, I'm not in love with the fact that Lilith has developed this crush on Massa, this unrequited love for Massa. But I think, you know, other than just sheer self-hate, that the other thing going on with Lilith is, deep down, she does believe she's worthy of more than what she sees going on around her.
Absolutely, and I'm now expanding how we consider and think through sisterhood. Even, you know, how do you stay in community with folk when you know they, you know, they're doing stuff that's detrimental. How and so yes, I'm thinking through too how this expands our definitions of and considerations of sisterhood. And it just makes me feel all the more blessed that I had an opportunity to sit with a giant in my field, be face to face with her, arm to arm, you know, neck to neck, if you will, with Sylvia Winter, to be in her presence, I don't care if nobody else understands how much of a giant she is. I mean, we know in Black studies, but I consider myself blessed because I can say that kind of spirit, that Homer spirit, where she was teaching and nudging and prodding and doing that kind of work, and always in a way settling my spirit, if you will. I don't even know a better way to describe it. But to be with her in the flesh like that, so I've just been in the presence of somebody who, and I consider myself blessed as a result of that. I wonder too how Toni Morrison's students would talk about her spiritedness, or the folks she came into contact with. Because, spirited Black women, I mean. And I will say in closing us out, that I, in hindsight, I wish I would have talked more about the male relationships too, because that's very important. But because Michelle, you are bringing up something that's very intriguing here, tantalus and Massa Humphrey and O'Quinn, and so those male relationships. There's so much symbolism in those as well. But anyone else? Leonie? I don't know if Leonie's still with us. I don't see her face. Okay, you there, Leonie? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Your beloved, just anything you'd like to say. I mean, you brought this book. I'm so grateful.
I'm just really sorry about the backlighting.
No
I had
problem.
to chair. I'm gonna try and see if I can do anything that helps a little bit. I'm just really enjoying the discussion and really enjoying the depth of the discussion. And I think the thing that I'm finding most profound about this conversation and every conversation that we've had so far about this book is the looking into understanding the characters of these different characters, these different women in the book. It's not like even though there's obviously a plot, for me, the depth of there's so much to read, like not only like in between the lines, but like in between the words and in between the letters. Like there's just so much there. So yeah, this is super cool. I guess that's it.
Leonie, that is beautiful. The in between the words, that's beautiful. Thank you. Gio, Venita, anyone else before we say goodbye? Kim?
No one mentioned the what was her name? The small one, the short one. She was mighty.
Gorgon.
Yes, I like her too. She was small, but she was mighty.
Yeah.
And that's another symbolization for women. In my family, we had some pretty shorter stature women. The 4'10" type people, Nicole, 4'11", and they were very mighty. I mean, this is the whole vision of those women in the cave. The tall one was mighty, the short one was mighty, the one with the red, they were all mighty. I'm sorry to interrupt that, but I just thought about the Gorgon. She's still in play. Yeah.
Yes, Venita, you're on it. That's all right. Yes.
She didn't play. I like that. Well, Nicole.
I guess the one thing that I love the fact that you focused on the sisterhood, because it just kind of makes you think about us in different ways. And the thing that comes to mind the most is when at the beginning of chapter 5, the chapter opens that says, white man is white man is white man, but not every nigga is the same nigga. And if she just come from the ship, so more be the difference. And then it just goes on to say, depending on what tribe or where you come from in the continent, you could be either suicidal, you could be homicidal, You could be lazy. You could, and then when you mix with white blood, what happens to you? So I love the idea that the sisterhood is this hugely complex web that everybody got to be welcomed under the tent.
Yeah.
That
reminds me.
Powerful. Wow.
The quote that I loved in this week's reading was, white women's madness make black women sense, or something like that. I think it was in chapter 7. I love that quote.
Me too.
Yes. Woo. Yes.
Yeah.
Book is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wonderful one. Thank you, Leonie. Thank you all. Well, if there's nothing else, then I want to bid you a wonderful night and evening. I enjoyed discussing, as always, discussing and reading our story together. Next week, the wonderful, illustrious Michelle will be facilitating, and we will be bringing, you more of this wonderful text. Michelle, you are looking at chapters 9 through 11, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's nothing else.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thanks, Nicole.
All right.
Bye, Leonie. Bye, Michelle.
Bye,
Bye,
you all.
Kim. See you,
Bye,
Jim.
Venita.
Bye.
Bye, ladies. Have a good week.
Nicole, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
All right.
Don't forget to stop the recording.
I think I stopped it.
Oh, okay.
Still recording.
It's still recording. Okay.